And we're now joined by Dan Bardell, who I'm told here is a football broadcaster and long-suffering Villa fan, which obviously implies that, it just implies you support Villa, Dan, really.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the bottom four than the top four at the moment.
Would you take fourth last?
Nah, no, definitely not. Not after 4 games, but things aren't great at the moment.
Well, okay, we had Mike in, who's a Villa fan, very, very down on Steven Gerrard. We'll get to Gerrard shortly, but just in terms of the Villa team, where's this Villa team to where it was, say, 12 months ago in terms of quality?
There's been a few player churns, so that obviously Steven Gerrard bought a few of his own players in January, and I actually think probably since January, in 2022 as a whole,
not good.
We've actually got worse. When he first came in, he stabilised us with the players that were already there, and I could see what a Steven Gerrard team was. But it seems that the more players that we've had come in that are Gerrard's players, the worse we've got. And it's just a strange one because it's really felt like a continuation from last season now for Villa fans. I think a lot was put on pre-season and Steven Gerrard and his backroom staff having that pre-season to get the ideas across to the players. And I think a lot of Villa fans thought, right, we'll give him a chance. Come August, it'll be a different lineup and we'll see what a Steven Gerrard team is all about. Now, we've got to August, not got off to a great start, losing to the Premier League whipping boys Bournemouth, stumbled through a win and tried to chuck the game against Everton as best we could. We went 2-0 up and then did everything we could to not win that game.
And they are bad.
And they're bad as well as Bournemouth are. And then the next 2 games, just nothing really, pretty abject. And we've lost one of our big summer signings for the whole season, Diego Carlos. That's not great because I think that was an area that Steven Gerrard identified as weak. So you're looking at the team on paper now, and whichever 11 really gets wheeled out from game to game, there's only one difference from like that end of last season, and that's Kamara, the French international, in the defensive midfield slot now. So it now feels like last season never ended, and we've just carried on, and it's just been a really miserable 2022, and I'm as positive as Villa fans come. I think I've been accused of toxic positivity on social media before, which isn't something many people get accused of, but at the moment I'm struggling. I was sat there with my dad on Sunday. My dad's been coming down the Villa for 50, 60 years, long time season ticket holder, and he looked at me after the game and he just said, that was boring. And 2022 for Villa fans has been boring. 2020 and most of 2021 was written off by COVID. You couldn't get to the football. You all sat at home wanting to be at the games, wanting crowds to be at football. And we're at Villa Park now. There's just something missing. And like I say, we were waiting for that pre-season. And now I'm sat there feeling like I'm waiting for something, but I don't know what that thing is.
So Coutinho 17 million, Carlos 26 million, Kamara you mentioned. I presume I don't really know what was Villa's what was the general expectation going into the season. I'm sure it was better than this. Or was there even a hope that actually Villa might become reasonably good to watch again?
Yeah, because Steven Gerrard talks about the passing game. He talked about the passing game when he came in, intensity, everything being 100 miles per hour, closing down. And as I say, those first 5-6 games, I could see what he wanted to do and I could see what he was trying to do. And I thought, right, there's a change here from Dean Smith. There's things here that I like. But in 2022, I've seen very, very little that I've liked. And I just can't understand what's going wrong. Because you look at that team, there's some good players there. I think, yes, there's problems. I think the midfield area at the moment is a massive problem for Villa, going both ways, and something needs to be done about it. But by and large, even those central midfield players, they're not bad players. I think we just haven't found the right combination, and there's perhaps something missing in there. There's different teams every week, different, like sometimes it's Ings and Watkins up front, sometimes it's just Watkins, sometimes Leon Bailey plays, sometimes it's Buendia and Coutinho, sometimes it's just Buendia, sometimes it's just Coutinho, and it just feels like there's no rhythm. And at the moment, if you were to ask me what type of football team Aston Villa are, I genuinely couldn't answer it. Well, because we're not a great passing side. We don't play with any real tempo. We're not gegenpress like Liverpool. We're not counter attack. We're not direct. I actually don't know what we are, and I feel like at this point I should be able to identify some kind of style from Aston Villa.
This is a cracking stat, and it's Dan lies in statistics, and we're 4 games into the season. Only Liverpool and Man City have entered the final third more times than Villa this season.
That shocks me. That genuinely shocks me. That's because we might well enter the final third, but when we get there, we don't look like we know how to break teams down and what to do. And West Ham on Sunday, they were poor, really poor. And Villa weren't great either, but I think Villa were probably the better team in the first half. But David Moyes did something to switch it up in the second half, and again they weren't great, but he changed the formation and they've gone and got the 3 points. We're mainly wed to this 4-3, and then it's either a 1-2 or it's a 4-3-3. And sometimes it's just not working at the moment. I think Villa fans would like to see more of a 4-2-3-1, try and stabilise the team a little bit and get more of those attacking players into the team. Because as I say, the midfield has been a problem. But that stat absolutely shocks me because we just seem so ponderous and slow at times. And I know that's not how Steven Gerrard will want to be playing. And I try and look at both sides. I don't want to sit here and absolutely lay into Steven Gerrard. That's not what I'm here to do. And I don't want to sit here and lay into the players either. But like I said, I cannot get what Aston Villa are at the moment. And it does feel like something needs to change. There was a lot of frustration in the air, and it's 4 games in. Villa's next 2 games, Arsenal away and Manchester City at home. By the end of the week, we could potentially be in the bottom 3. I know then it's only 6 games and there's 2 hopefully winnable games coming up after that. But it's not what Villa fans expected. It's not the dream that we've been sold. It's certainly, the owners. The owners are men of real ambition. They won't be happy with this. They won't have been happy with 14th last year, but they'll be sat there probably scratching their heads and wondering what's going on as well. There's just an air of resignation at Villa Park at the moment. The prices have gone up quite heavily on the season tickets. And in fairness to Villa, the ticket prices have been reasonable for a number of years, but they've put the prices up. The kit prices seem to be higher than some of the teams. And just seems to be a sense of frustration amongst the Villa fan base at the moment because they just want something to cling on to, something to get behind. And at the moment, so far this season, they haven't had that, and they haven't had that in 2022.
Yeah, we've a text in, only win of the season for Palace, Bournemouth and West Ham against Villa. 3 wins out of the 12 games those teams have played. That stat, and of course that isn't a text in, that's from our producer Mike, who really is down on Steven Gerrard. But to be fair, a lot of what Mike said before the show you can buy into. And what intrigues me, Dan, is that I never thought Gerrard really had the charisma to be a manager. And that sounds a bit, I don't know, blasé or whatever. But like I remember there was a guy in the League of Ireland who had a short enough managerial career, and I asked an ex-teammate of his, and he said, just never had the personality to be a manager. You need personality. Does Gerrard have that personality to win over players who, I don't know, don't seem to be necessarily buying into whatever the system is?
I mean, he's an engaging guy. I think he's a fascinating guy, and he's achieved an awful lot in his career and an awful lot in football. And I do feel like some of the players have bought into it. Jacob Ramsey, for example, Matty Cash, and they've probably been 2 of Villa's better performers in 2022. But there is something wrong. There's something that's not sitting right at the moment. And Gerrard has a huge backroom staff. He doesn't claim himself to be an expert in every area. He acts as more of the overseer, and a lot of emphasis gets put on the assistant manager and the coaches. Now, Villa have lost their assistant manager to QPR, Michael Beale. He's got his own way to manage himself, which is every right to do. And Neil Critchley has come in. But like I say, you'd expect with that to be a little bit of a change, but it's exactly the same as the end of last season. I'm not sitting here saying Michael Beale going to absolutely cost us, because I don't think we were great under Michael Beale. But it's not having no discernible style at this point, and not knowing what type of team Steven Gerrard wants us to be. That's worrying. And that point that I made right at the start, where when he first came in, I categorically knew what he was trying to do, and I could visibly see change and improvement on the pitch. But I've not seen those kind of facets since, and that's a concern.
Yeah, he says Villa needs someone to step forward to provide a good cross or a little bit of combination play to get a good shot off. Obviously, isn't entirely scientific. I guess what's even less scientific is the mood of Villa Park, and when that turns, maybe sometimes it's hard for coaches to get it back. What did it feel like at the weekend?
More desperate than I would have expected, and more hostile than I would have expected. The boos that I see in the whole end upper, and the boos were loud at the end of the game. It's not just Gerrard's fault, because there's been years and years and years of underachievement at Villa, and there's years and years and years of pent up frustration amongst the Villa fan base. But we've gone from having Dean Smith, who I think the Villa fans all connected with. And to be honest, when he went, there was a lot of upset. But I think most people could say that it probably run its course. Again, we were getting worse rather than better. But I feel like we're in the same pattern now, that we're getting worse. We're not getting any better. And Gerrard's done a lot of the things that Dean Smith did towards the end of his tenure. You know, we were sat here this time last year saying, I'm not sure Dean Smith knows his best team. There's a lot of that being levelled at Steven Gerrard. We had the whole Tyrone Mings thing coming out the side for the first game. Villa have since said he was injured, which, you know, you have to believe. But Dean Smith dropped Tyrone Mings towards the end of his tenure. That didn't really work out. So there is a few parallels running at the moment, and it just is not a happy place. I think West Ham coming to Villa Park on Sunday on 0 points and 0 goals. We all knew what was going to happen. I did not expect Villa to win that game on Sunday because I know over the years Aston Villa is the gift that keeps on giving. But I did not expect West Ham to be so bad. And for them to come away with 3 points being that bad is worrying. And with the 2 games we've got coming up, you almost now feel like you've no choice but to write them off. And I think Gerrard will get those 2 games, and they're free hits, essentially, because we have not started the season well, and both those sides have. But the 2 after, Leicester and Southampton, I think it is, I can't remember which order it's in, they're huge games. They're games that Villa need to yield 6 points from.
Yeah, you're actually talking about 3 of the top 5, I think, in the betting in the managers to be next gone are basically Gerrard, Hasenhüttl, and in that time frame as well, Brendan Rodgers, who's the next favourite. But how long do you feel that Gerrard does have the boards back, and or will it be sort of make or break after those 4 games?
I think right now he's not in danger. He'll have the boards backing. I think, you know, obviously Christian Perslow's put a lot into getting Steven Gerrard into the club. We lost Jack Grealish, who really now, if you look at it, the whole football club was too heavily geared around Jack Grealish, and we've lost him, and we've struggled ever since. You've then lost the manager a couple of months after Jack Grealish going. So I think it seems to me, I could be wrong, this is just my own opinion, Villa wanted a name. So Steven Gerrard came in, and he's a name. And for a period, you know, we've attracted players to the club that probably didn't really have any right to get into the club. Even when you look at Boubacar Kamara, who's coming in the summer, he could have gone and played for a Champions League team, but he's decided to come and play for Villa because of Steven Gerrard. And I think that's what they wanted. They wanted someone who could bring in big name players and make Villa an attractive club, an attractive option. And to an extent, they've done that, but it's no good doing that if you're going to get worse on the pitch. And we just, as I keep saying it, I can't work out what the style is. We're just getting the ball out wide and putting crosses into the box. I mean, Kurt Zouma, he can't have had an easier game than he had on Sunday in his career, because we're just putting the ball in there and he's just heading everything away. I think at one point he headed 3 balls away in the space of 15 seconds from 3 crosses. So it's all well and good venturing the final third, but you got to know what to do when you're there. And at the moment, I don't really feel like that with Villa.
I well remember, as your dad would, the Paul McGrath days, and how, you know, Villa were such a big club, and obviously still are. Yeah,
I'm biased, obviously, but, you know, I think we're a huge club, and Villa fans don't want the world. You know, I think sometimes there's this outside looking in that Villa fans are a bit unreasonable. We're not really. We don't expect to be top 6 at the moment. That's not what we expect, but we expect to be top half, and let's try and win something. Let's go on a cup run. And Steven Gerrard himself and the club themselves have said those things about becoming a top half team and pushing towards Europe. But we look really far away from that at the moment, a lot further away than I would have expected, and a lot further away than I think the owners, who've been absolutely brilliant, by the way, further away than they would have expected as well. So there's something wrong. People are saying, you know, I've seen a few people tonight on social media saying that, these are the same collection of players that lost Dean Smith his job. That might be a fair argument. I haven't had too much time to ponder it because I only saw it 5 seconds before I came on. But we've got to do something, and we've got to get together, because the whole club needs galvanising, because it's flat. The atmosphere at the start of the game on Sunday, the first 5 minutes, really good, positive atmosphere. They're behind the team. Sometimes the fans need the players to G them up, and sometimes vice versa. But it just falls away and turns into nothing. And that's happened in too many games at Villa Park over the last few years. You just want some excitement and something to believe in. And I hope that comes. And, I want it to be Steven Gerrard. I want Steven Gerrard to be that man, because I want Villa to be successful, and he's the man in the hot seat. And I don't like seeing managers sacked and losing jobs being talked about. But 2022 has been miserable.
It sounds like the players need a good Brummy night out to get them going.
I don't know what they need. They certainly need something. Though. They've got to get together. They've got to be better than this. Even if we come away, our away fans are unbelievable. Some of the best people I've ever met in my life have been people that I've met at away games, Aston Villa away games. They'll be travelling to Arsenal on Wednesday, probably knowing that we're going to get beat, and that's fine. Arsenal are a great side. They're on a great run at the moment. But you want to see a performance. You can accept losing if you see a performance. There's a way to lose, and Villa, they haven't got that at the moment.
Thanks a million for your time, Dan.
No worries.